Well, hello, my fellow Americans and fellow Christians, and thank you for joining me for another day here in the United States of America. Peace be unto you, and peace be unto the world. The subject of this work is called Imperial Christianity. Perhaps the greatest tragedy facing our nation today is the emergence of Imperial Christianity. The balance between Christian faith and the Christian accountability has taken its toll upon the American landscape. Arrogance and obstinance has taken a forged stance upon the wall of conscience in Christian realms. There is today no confidence in the judgment of Christian leaders who in continual fashion display a disparity of intelligent following of Christ and his gospel. It is as if these men who supposedly have the ear of God count themselves as executives who have imperial power over the masses. These leaders today have seemed to have forgotten the one lesson Christ taught the rich young ruler, that power obtained has the responsibility of accountability, and such rejections lead to provisions of danger and corruption, even the loss of obtaining audience with God. Historically, Great Britain spread its imperialism throughout the world, and eventually found itself victim of what Alexander Hamilton called the highest obtainment on earth. Today, Great Britain is no longer in a position of world power, and their society is nothing more than a civilized welfare state. They did not remain responsible in maintaining the awesome accountability of balance of power, not only at home, but also abroad. They found themselves at war with a foe who they did not take seriously until the crisis reached their shores. The war left them bankrupt and no longer a world power. Christianity in America today is dangerously close of following in the footsteps of Great Britain. The argument is almost the same. No one is listening to the warnings of well-informed men who see the consummation and collapse of Christianity on the horizon. Britain was warned about Germany to no avail, and Christian leaders have been warned of its lackadaisical attitude of worldly influence, which in a sense is the same nemesis Germany was to England. England ignored the warnings, just as Christianity today ignores the warnings of a collapse in the future. Unconsciously, Christian leaders today act as legislators, not men of doctrine, legislating the ways of the world into the constitution of the gospel of Christ as amendments approved only by their imperial and executive power. Their justification is they are using the ways of the world to influence the world, as if they have the broad stroke of unlimited power granted by inheritance. They act on personal prerogatives, thinking they possess unlimited power, not that of the gospel and what it intends, disregarding the consequences of a worldly mind, which eliminates the power of the Spirit. Wisdom suggests the consequence of such imperialistic power is an eventual darkened state, unseen through the blindness of adulation of power, most likely expressed in their secret closets. Christianity is already losing its power and influence. Citizens in the United States see no difference in the Christian today than that of an ordinary citizen. There is no distinction of character, no high ideals, and no vision for the future. Hate, anger, distrust, corrupt business practice, as well as the assassination of character through gossip. Public trust is waning on a great scale. Albert J. Nock wrote, "But as we see on all sides, in the realization of these several desires, the prophetic message is so heavily adulterated with trivialities in every instance that its effect on the masses is merely to harden them in their sins. Meanwhile, the remnant, aware of this adulteration and of the desires that prompt it, turn their backs on the prophet and will have nothing to do with him or his message. This is where imperialistic Christianity is headed, to no man's land where no voice will be trusted. Further, Christ will no longer be seen as the one with the Holy Spirit of power. As St. Paul warned, in the latter times the Holy Spirit will be withdrawn from the church, and all that will remain is a deluded state. The Apocrypha voices the word that in the latter times unrighteousness will rule the earth, and one man or nation will be asking the other, has righteousness passed through your land? Furthermore, the Apocrypha states, intelligence will be scarce throughout the earth. Every person has the ability to write his or her autobiography. The question is, are we writing it badly or well? Are we listeners or are we ignorant of the warnings that can save us? All is not lost. The ability to recognize Christian leaders today has stepped across the intended doctrine of Christ and has abused the gospel through imperialism, implementing the ways of the world as the ways of Christ is a start. What I'm writing and speaking today is most likely going to fall on deaf ears in the imperialistic Christian realm. The Christian leaders today see themselves above counsel, advice, and criticism. Untouchable is more the term. This obstinance is written about over and over again in the Bible. It needs no interpretation, for as Thomas Jefferson said, truth stands by itself. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.